I'm Emily Giubertoni, Director of Bishop Challoner Training School, SCIT, and welcome to our podcast about teaching, learning and schools today. This episode is about Pupil Premium, and we can start with finding out what the Pupil Premium is, which is extra money for schools to help disadvantaged pupils of all abilities achieve to their full potential. And the Pupil Premium is available for students who've been on free school meals in the last 6 years, at any point in the last 6 years, students who are looked after by the local authority, or students who've been previously looked after by the local authority. And those groups of students come to us with often degrees of disadvantage and need that actually has a really damaging impact on how well they do in school. According to recent Sutton Trust research, disadvantaged high attainer students are more than twice as likely to fall out of the top third at GCSE. Disadvantaged high attainers are 3 times more likely to be a young carer, with all of the impact that that is likely to have on their ability to study and achieve their full potential in the classroom. And 21% of disadvantaged high attainers felt that they didn't have much of a chance in life. And what we see with Pupil Premium is that people sometimes think that there's a link between being Pupil Premium and not being a high achiever, but that's absolutely not true. Students who receive the Pupil Premium can be achieving anywhere on the spectrum of what students achieve in school, but the concerning thing often for teachers is that there is often a gap with students who are receiving Pupil Premium, and thus disadvantaged students, where they are underperforming what their kind of initial achievements in school tell us that they should be able to achieve. You get that gap, a student and compared to a student who's non-Pupil Premium not achieving to the fullest of their potential, and that's obviously really concerning for anyone who is a teacher in the school. But luckily for us, there are lots of things that the research tells us that we can do to support Pupil Premium, and one of the core prongs of the kind of plan of support for Pupil Premium students is high quality teaching. So it's not about thinking, can we get loads of interventions going on outside the classroom? It's about thinking, what can I do in my classroom, high quality teaching first, so that when those students are in the room, they are getting the absolute best teaching they possibly can. And I'm just going to run through a few of the things that teachers can do to make sure that their students are getting the best teaching possible. So the first thing that you might do, number 1, is think about your seating plan, and have you really identified who your Pupil Premium students are? Do you know them and where they're sat so that you can easily access them to support them? So that you can make monitoring a little bit easier of, are they staying on task all of the time? Are they staying understanding all of the time? And just help that monitoring. A second strategy you can use is with books. We know from research by lots of researchers, from Dylan William onwards, that feedback in books and on student work is one of the things that has the biggest impact on student attainment and how well students do. So make sure you prioritise feedback to your Pupil Premium students. I've come across some schools where teachers might put like a little code, maybe like just a little tick in the corner of the books of students who are Pupil Premium, and they always mark those books first to make sure, if you run out of time, those aren't the students who are going to be missed. Making sure you're looking at seating plan and thinking in every lesson, have you given high quality feedback to those Pupil Premium students? Are you always thinking feedback? Is it there? The third strategy is to think about retrieval practice, and teachers today, I think, are very sophisticated at using retrieval practice, which is great, building knowledge. But you might also think about, are you encouraging students to make links between the retrieval practice that they're doing? So one of the higher level skills is to be able to take those 5-question retrieval practice activities from a starter that a lot of us are doing at the moment and connect that with other learning. And a simple way to do that is to follow up your 5-question retrieval starters by asking the students to make 3 links to their answers to those questions. And you're just training them to be able to make links between learning as well as deal with what's on the page in front of them. We know the EEF tells us metacognition, teaching students metacognition is one of the things that leads to the highest improvement in student progress. So think about, how do you teach the students in your class, particularly Pupil Premium students, to evaluate their own work? How do you scaffold them to do that? Have you got a strategy? Always make sure you're saying to the students, have you evaluated your own work? How did you do that? What improvements have you made? And those 3 simple questions will help you teach that. 5th, you might think about teaching academic reading and writing and speaking skills specifically, and particularly writing and speaking skills here. Always have sentence starters that use academic language for spoken tasks like think, pair, share, or for written tasks. So you're really giving students that knowledge that might not necessarily be obvious, that academic framing for how you have that kind of spoken conversation in a way that's appropriate for the classroom. And then you want to think about celebrating and recognising that academic success. For some students, that won't happen outside the classroom. You will have some students where those people outside the school in their lives are not going to see their academic success as something that needs to be celebrated. So make sure you do that in the classroom. And finally, think about role models for academic success and what you can do to promote those to students. Think about those students in that Sutton Trust research, where we have students, 21% of high attaining students with this measure of disadvantage who feel like they don't have a chance in life, and who will say that they think that academic success isn't for them. People like me don't have much of a chance in life is a quote from that Sutton Trust research. And the more you can do to role model that and to demonstrate that that is absolutely not true, the more you will help the students in their class. Hopefully those strategies are just to get you start thinking about Pupil Premium students in your class and how you can best support them. Thank you for listening to this Inspire, Teach, Excel podcast.